Here we go.
And you will know my name is the Lord when I lay my vengeance upon thee. That they may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
I love you.
I know.
Louis, I think this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Episode 2 of my Analyze Movie Reviews. As I said in my last one, my Batman Begins. If you want to check out that video, check out this entire video. But I also have a Batman Begins Analyze Movie Review in celebration of Batman v Superman. But to get to Batman v Superman, we have to look at one more movie before we arrive at that movie. And that is the movie that launched the DC Cinematic Universe. Because I'm not going to call it the DC Extended Universe. That's just stupid. So Man of Steel was a movie that came out in 2013. It was a movie directed by Zack Snyder following the Dark Knight trilogy. Does not happen in the same universe as Man of Steel. Batman's going to show up in, as we know, in Batman v Superman. But it is not the same timeline or anything. That's what I like about Man of Steel is it still has that dark tone we get from the Dark Knight trilogy. And people may want to see the more Richard Donner style of superheroes, the more what you see in the Marvel universe. I actually like the tone that the Dark Knight started, and now that Man of Steel, and it looks like the entire DC is going to follow. Because it's a good way to know, hey, you have the dark one, and then you have the light-sided one with the Marvel and then the DC universe. I'm a big fan of this movie. I really like this movie. This is my second favorite movie of 2013. So let's get this started. Let's talk about this movie. So the movie begins, we're on Krypton, and we're seeing the birth of Kal-El, otherwise known as Superman. And one thing I like about this is they explain a lot of stuff around it. Kal-El was the first natural birth in a long time. The first 19 minutes of this movie is entirely on Krypton. You get to see its past right before the planet's about to blow up. We see the world and it's so cool to see. It kind of looks like an Avatar kind of world, but it's just so cool to see. You have Russell Crowe who plays Jor-El, Kal-El's father, and then you have Michael Shannon who plays General Zod. Jor-El is pleading to allow him to take the Codex to send to Earth with Kal-El, but Zod, he doesn't have those plans. But what I like about this is both Zod and Jor-El both want to save the race in two completely different ways. Jor-El wants to start anew. He wants Kal-El to go off to Earth to begin the Kryptonians all over again. Where Zod has a military coup d'etat and is trying to save his race by taking what Kryptonians are and just making them his own image, pretty much. And one thing you really get to see from the Kryptonians was it's like a caste system. You know, a caste system in India where you're born to do one certain thing. Jor-El was a scientist, Zod was a general. So it was really cool to see that kind of idea for the Kryptonians. And Man of Steel is not just a superhero movie. It also classifies itself into a science fiction movie. Well, he gets the Codex, he goes off to his house, and Zod and all his men are getting ready to come. They put the Codex and they get ready for the ship to go off to Earth. And then we have such a great scenes where his mom is like, he's saying he'd be a freak to him. And Jor-El's like, how can he be a freak? He'd be like a god to them. Jor-El and Loras, they say goodbye to Kal-El. Zod fights Jor-El, and Jor-El, he beats him. He even gives him a nice nasty scar you see him through the entire movie. And then Zod kills Jor-El whenever he was distracted, watching his son go off into space. And then things don't really go well for Zod. He goes off, and they're surrounded. And him and his men are all sentenced to the Phantom Zone, which is pretty much like a prison, I guess. I don't really know much about Superman, to be perfectly honest. One thing I'll also say is the Kryptonian armor that you see Zod and his men use, it looks like Fallout armor you would see in the Fallout games. It's pretty cool to see. But Zod has a promise to Laura. He says he is going to hunt Kal-El down and he will take what belongs to him.
I will find him!
Later on, we see Laura. She's watching as Krypton is about to blow up, and she's thinking to herself, "Make a better world than ours, Kal." We see Kal's ship. It's getting into our solar system, and then we jump to our present or the future, however you want to look at it, and Superman got himself a job on Dailiest Catch. Okay, but he's not there for long because he goes off to save some men that are stuck on an oil rig. One cool thing about this is this could maybe touch into Aquaman in a later Justice League movie. I guess we'll have to wait and see. There's another scene I'll talk about. I'll point that out as well. He's in the ocean. He gets a flashback of when he was a kid, when his powers were really starting to come to its own. He's seeing everyone's like skeletons through his X-ray vision, and that was a cool way to tell Superman's origin story, was doing through flashbacks. That's why I want to see through a Spider-Man movie. I don't want another origin story of Spider-Man. I just want a flashback. Give us 1 or 2 good flashbacks, and your origin story set up. And that was a good way to tell Clark Kent's past in a lot of detail in a short amount of time. He steals some clothes, and then he sees the bus, and he has another flashback when he saves the kids from drowning. And his dad, who's played by Kevin Costner, he's great as Joseph Kent. And he's just great in this movie as well. Kevin Costner says you need to hide your abilities. People aren't going to... Whenever people find out who you are, what you are, it's going to change what it means to be human. And then he reveals that he is not a human. He's an alien. And that was pretty cool to see. And Clark's like, I don't want to be any of that. I just want to be a regular guy. And that's the essence of Superman.
You're the answer, son. You're the answer to are we alone in the universe?
I don't want to be.
And I don't blame you, son. It'd be a huge burden for anyone to bear. But you're not just anyone, Clark, and I have to believe that you were sent here for a reason.
Then we cut back to the present where Clark, he is a busboy. He's cleaning stuff, hitting on some chicks, I guess, or the main girl. And a guy was being a dick, but he also heard some news about a military base. And whenever the one guy who was being a dick to Clark, you see his semi and it has a bunch of logs through him, and that was pretty cool to see. Then you see him at the military base, and we also get our introduction to everyone's favorite reporter, Lois Lane. Now, Lois Lane is portrayed by Amy Adams. I think this is one of the better portrayals of Lois Lane in the Superman movies altogether. Because how can I not buy Lois Lane is supposed to be this really great reporter? How can the greatest reporter not know that Clark Kent is Superman? And I'm glad she knows that he is Superman. I think that was a great way to do the story. Give it a fresh new look on. And Amy Adams, she's a great actor. I really like her in this movie. And I'm looking forward to see her what she does later on in the DC universe. So, the military, they had found a ship or something that had been in the ice for 20,000 years. And Lois Lane, she's using her camera and she's looking and she sees Clark getting ready to get into the ship. Clark gets in with his little key thing he has, and Lois kind of gets herself hurt, and Superman saves her by using his heat vision. And that was pretty cool. And the army just watches the ship goes by, and they're like, what the hell is that? Then we see Lois, she has this story she's telling Perry White, who's her editor at Daily Planet. And Perry's like, no, I'm not going to tell the story because I'm not going to tell an alien story in the news. Pretty objective guy, but Lois gives it to a guy to leak it online, and she's like, I just want him to know I'm out there and I know the truth. More on Lois in a minute, but then we cut back to Clark. He is on the ship and he meets his father, Jor-El, and Jor-El tells him all about Krypton and its past, about how Zod took over, and that how Kryptonians, they had lost who they really were. One thing I liked about this is they kind of lost their humanity or their Kryptonianism or whatever you want to look at it, because they lost free will. They became a caste system pretty much. And that's the significance of Kal-El. He was the first natural birth on Krypton in a long time. He wants Kal-El to have the freedom to do what he wants to do. And also we get the Superman suit, and thank God you don't see his underwear. Thank God. It's just like you see in the Dark Knight trilogy. The costume Dark Knight trilogy was not traditional Batman. It was more, it was more of New Age Batman. It's more practical. And I love what we're seeing in these movies now. Jor-El, he explains Superman's powers and that he can fly. And when he flies the first time, you see the joy on his face. You can really tell that Henry Cavill really likes playing this character. And then we cut back to Lois tracking down every lead she can get about Superman, or all the legends about how he saved a girl at a bar, how he saved the men on the oil rig, about the guy who works at the IHOP. And then Superman meets Lois once again. And Superman says, my father didn't want people to know my secret because nobody would accept me. And it cuts back to a flashback where we see Jonathan Kent get killed by a tornado. This is one of the many things I believe that inspires Clark to become a hero, watching his father go out trying to save people from the tornado. And he could have gone to save him, but Jonathan Kent, he just says no, because he doesn't want Clark to reveal his superpowers to everyone. And I really like that. I do kind of, there is a sense where I like where Jonathan Kent dies from a heart attack, because it shows that Superman can't save everyone from everything in the world. But I really enjoyed this way of doing it. You have to change it up a bit. Lois returns back to the Daily Planet, deciding to cut the story. Also, one thing I'll notice right here, not really a big, whoa. It's just, if you ever watch House of Cards, the guy who plays Doug in House of Cards, he's in Man of Steel, and it's really cool to see. And then we cut back to Clark. He's headed home, and you see the first LexCorp truck. Maybe he'll show up in the next one. And Clark says he found out who his parents was, who he really is. And then the movie takes where we really get to our main plot. We got our origin set up. Now it's time to get to the meat of the story. So we're at the military base, and there's a spaceship around the moon. And they're like, we wanted to tell you this right before it really went global. And then it cuts to all the power goes out in the world. And a thing shows up on the screen. You are not alone. God announces himself as an alien, as a Kryptonian, and that one of your people is here, and I am going to find him. Surrender or you will pay the consequences. The government, they go after Lois Lane because a friend of hers that she leaked the story to earlier in the movie kind of revealed that she knew who Superman actually is. And the FBI gets to her, and they put her in a cell pretty much. And Clark, he goes visit the local Catholic church, just like Daredevil would do. Clark tells the father at the church, saying, I don't know what to do. Zod can't be trusted, but I don't think humanity can be trusted either. And the father tells him, sometimes you just gotta take a leap of faith. And Superman, he turns himself into humanity. And Lois like, why'd you turn yourself into Zod? And Superman's like, I didn't turn myself into Zod. I turned myself into mankind. And that is in essence Superman. Henry Cavill nails that role right there. Superman wears a handcuffs, and you're like, you're wearing handcuffs? He's like, I have to make it look convincing, right? And it's really funny to see. Superman goes to turn himself into Zod's men, and they request that Lois Lane goes with them. And you see that one army guy and the girl for Zod, they meet each other quite often. There's kind of respect and bitterness toward the two of them, and it's kind of cool to see. Lois goes on the ship with Superman. Superman gives her the key in case she can use it later on. Superman meets Zod, but Superman kind of collapses because the atmosphere is Kryptonian. Superman had gotten used to Earth's atmosphere, and he'd spent all these years adapting to it. He never adapted to the Kryptonian atmosphere. Then we see Superman and Zod talking in a dream, and this is what I really like about Zod. Zod is an example of a villain I really like. My favorite villains are the villains that think they are the heroes, and that's what Zod is. He thinks he's the good guy right here. Zod and his men, they go from every outpost that the colonies had during the Kryptonians' golden age. He tells Clark that he is going to build a new Krypton on Earth's dead bodies, and it's cool to see. And one of the things I really like about this one part is Zod, he admits he killed Jorah, and Superman's like, you killed my father? He's like, I did. Not a day goes by that I don't regret, but if I had to do it again, I would. And that just shows, you want a villain that doesn't regret his action. He's like, he thinks about it. He's not just like, I'm evil. You want to see a character who actually has motivation and actually regrets his decisions. It makes him more real. And then the movie pretty much turns into a non-stop action film, and you have the Zack Snyder elements, the actions over top, and it's so cool to see. I really enjoy watching this movie. And the girl villain that's part of General Zod's army, she's probably even more menacing than Zod, because she's fighting Superman in Smallville, and she's like, what, is that all you got, Kal-El? It's like, your compassion is your weakness, and she's just beating him, showing him a thing or two. And one of the cool things when you're in Smallville, you kind of see like a gunslinger kind of fight, like you would see in the Western. You see Superman, he's walking really slow, and then you see the girl and the guy, they're walking really slow. It's like they're meeting in like the Wild West or something. That was cool to see. Some people complain that it's a little over the top, but they're Kryptonians. Who cares? Superman, he helps the military. The military tries to kill Superman and the two men. And Superman saves a bunch of his men. And then you see the Colonel. He's like, he is not our enemy. Superman, he returns home with the Kryptonians going back to their main ship. With the final act of the movie really beginning. Lois tells Superman how to stop the Zod's plan. Because their plan is, they'll have one ship and another ship on two ends of the Earth. Form a black hole, and the Earth shall become heavier, and it will become a new Krypton. And their plan is to take the baby shuttle from the beginning of the movie, collide it with the main Zod ship, and it should send them all back to the Phantom Zone. You see, the World Engine is in the Indian Ocean. It is blasted through. Superman has to stop that. Now, the World Engine is going through the Indian Ocean, so I'm kind of thinking that's going to have something to do with Aquaman, because a lot of it gets affected. Superman stops the World Engine, and he goes off to really finish off Zod and all of his men. One thing I'll also say about this movie is the score. Hans Zimmer's score is fantastic. The Superman score is awesome. It may not be as good as John Williams' original Superman score, but hey, this is a pretty good score as well. The ship collides into Zod's ship. All of Zod's men go back to the Phantom Zone. The Genesis ship destroyed. So no new Kryptonians. And Zod just sitting there, defeated. And he's like, I was born to do one thing. Serve my people. I was born to be a warrior. And that's the one thing I liked about him. That you kind of feel sorry for Zod at that moment. Because the Krypton, it shaped Zod into what he was. And that's what you really see in this moment in the movie. And Zod and Superman, they have fight, and they waste a lot of Metropolis, which is a big complaint in the movie, and I understand it. But once again, they're Kryptonians, and they're going to wreck some stuff. And this is a more darker superhero movie. Also, we see our second LexCorp trip, and we go into outer space, and we see Wayne Industries satellite. So, Batman exists in this world. That's cool to know. Superman beats Zod, and he holds him in the neck. He's like, you're beaten. I won. And Zod's like, no, you haven't. And he uses his heat vision to take out all the humans that are in like the light barrier or something. And Superman's like, please stop. He's like, if you're not gonna, he's like, I'm gonna kill everyone here. And Superman, I understand the controversial stuff because Superman never kills, but in my defense, if Superman holds him down and lets him kill all those humans, what does that show? Superman has no resolve, and he will just let anyone do whatever they want to do. If he doesn't snap the neck, innocent people die. It was the right call to do. In Batman Begins, when Batman allows Ra's al Ghul to die. Batman doesn't kill people, but he lets them die. And the movie pretty much ends. We see Superman, he talks to the general because they're trying to spy on him, trying to figure out where he lives. Flashbacks to a kid when he was a kid running around as a kid. That was cool. They used the first promotional thing where he's a kid and he has the cape on and he's doing the iconic Superman thing. And in the first iconic scene, it was when The Dark Knight Rises was in theaters, and they played the Lord of the Rings theme when Gandalf dies. And you're just like, oh man, that's so cool. And the movie ends, and you hear Hans Zimmer's final score, and you see Superman become Clark Kent, wearing the iconic glasses, getting the job at the Daily Planet. And she's like, Lois Lane says, welcome to the planet. He's like, thank you, Lois. And movie Man of Steel, movie ends. And that's Man of Steel in a nutshell. This movie does a lot of things right. It does some things wrong, but hey, that's a movie. I think Zod is a great villain. I would take General Zod almost over almost all villains I have seen in the MCU. I'm really looking forward to Batman v Superman this week. I hope you have enjoyed both my analyzed review of Batman Begins and Man of Steel. So, guys, if you like this video, click that thumbs up button and subscribe to see more. Tell me in the comment section below, did you like this analyzed movie review? Do you want me to stop this series? Whatever it is. Do you just tell me a movie you want me to review, or do you agree with my thoughts about this movie? And as always, all too easy.